Hmm. I forgot to be a cat character. Doo-doo. Hello and welcome to the How to Draw stream. I am Kenza Raventooth. Now, this this stream is unscripted and unfiltered, so moderate language may be used. That being said, if you are easily offended, do not watch. Now, hopefully, I have things set up right. Oh, that's not good. Why is my output low? You know what? I'm gonna put recording on because this may not work. Hello and welcome to How to Draw Basics. I am Kenza Raventooth. Now this is unfiltered and unscripted, so moderate language may be used. That being said, if you... Oh hey, hi watcher. Being easily offended, do not watch. Today I'll be using a cat character. But the first basic thing is plug in your stuff before you start streaming. Like I should have done. Okay, here we have a real life of a cat. Now, photos are important. Reference photos are very important. Right here is free stock. But no one is too good for reference photos. And as I can show you here, that pretty much any animal is made up of shapes. I use these shapes daily. If you haven't seen my line art. Anyways, So I'm gonna use this photo to making a nice little picture of this cat. Now I start by making bigger canvas than what I need. I'll shrink it down later, it looks nicer. But let's see, I'll start with the head. I use this cross lines to figure out where my mouth and eyes go. And I add the ears. Now for the body. Now I always do the circle because I tend to freehand instead of following other shapes. I usually add a circle here and it helps me go for the body and legs. Oops. So now I add the body. Front legs. Tiny little paws. Back legs. Now the tail, which I am gonna freelance the tail because it's pretty simple to do cattails. No pun intended. Let's see. Now if I remember right, my cat doesn't have a full tail anyway. Now I usually don't do this, but for the sake of teaching, I'm going to do a second sketch where I will add more details. Do a tiny little mouth. Now you may have noticed I've gone way different from the photo at this point. That's because I tend to add my own personal touches to my art. I don't go realistic like that line. Add lines here and then some fur. And uh, add some fur to the chest, even though this is probably way behind. I apologize for the lags. I don't have the best internet. Feet.
Cookie, stop being a pest. Woohoo! We have basic sketch done. Let's do a quick realistic drawing here. Kind of. I do my eyes differently. I guess if I wanted to add more realistic eyes, do that. Now you may notice that I probably don't talk a whole lot when I draw. And that's because one, it's just easier to focus, but two, it's just sometimes I have to focus. Also, I was told by my art teacher that when we talk, it puts us in certain part of our brain that doesn't really do well with art. Okay, let's do an outline of this. Cookie, now it's time. Oh, you're chasing light. Okay. Okay, cat. Oh, as my light and my line and sketch tool, I use airbrush with 100% density. I was one of the artists I watched suggested this, and it's how they did it, and I tried, and I actually really liked the results I got. So I started doing that. I guess I should probably explain the reasons why I added shapes in the first place. think it was around 2010 when I realized that I should add shapes because it helps with proportions and placing of limbs. Weird as that sounds. There, and there's a mini realistic version. Won't do this because my cat doesn't have long fur, and I usually don't add fur texture when I draw. That's alright. Okay. Oh hey. Oh. So when I go to line, I'll put another layer, but on the layer below, because I usually work with just black, I turn down the opacity, however you pronounce that. So if I accidentally draw on the wrong layer, I'll see it, and yeah. So to lining, it's just a cleaner version of the art. Do 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 do. Eraser is always a friend, in case you found out you messed up. Oh. And just pretty much follow your secondary line art or make improvements, small ones that you didn't before, or unless you're like me who just goes from the sketch to the line art, just make the improvements. Doo -doo. That pause a bit big. There. Okay, now put my little KRT here. I always put the KRT at least, or sometimes I'll just put my watermark, but I do this to make sure no art thieves try to take my art. So I guess that's easily erasable, but the watermark isn't. Okay, now for the realistic cat. I do apologize to any buffering for any watchers here, even though there's not really watchers. My internet's not always the best. Okay, now for coloring. I use my wand tool, oops, and select on the long layer. Okay, maybe not. Try to select on the right layer. Then I'll try to get areas which I know I'm not supposed to color because it'd be outside what I want. Love how smooth that came out. Oh, and just fill those in. Doo -doo -doo. Doo -doo. That lake looks weird. But I'm just gonna live with that because I don't feel like changing this. Anyway, so I'll invert it and start coloring. For this realistic cat, I'm gonna color it with my cat's colors. She's a tuxedo. I'm not even looking at her right. Okay. Now I used the pen feature with wave, makes the lines come out fuller and easier to fill in when it comes to colors. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. It's the exact opposite. Jason messaged me back. I don't really reply, but I want to get this done because I have art that I need to get done ASAP. I wanted to make sure I get this done too because I didn't want to reschedule this. Okay. Oops. Okay.
Sorry to keep waking you up so good, but
I need to see your icon. And I have your audio marking here on the wrong side. Okay. Now I'm going to add a bit of eye shines to the line art because it makes everything just look so much nicer. Okay. There's one thing colored. Now for this thing. Because I don't need this anymore. I can just do that. Let's see. I haven't drawn this character in since I made that reference, so this might be a bit sketchy. Okay, that's the right color. do do. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's not till further down. Oh, don't you? Yes, you do. Little bird, fly through my window. Little bird, fly through my window. Little bird, fly through my window. By molasses skin. Through my window, my sugar. Through my window, my sugar. Chickadee, chickadee, fly through my window. Chickadee, chickadee, fly through my window. Chickadee, chickadee, fly through my window. Buy molasses candy. Through my window, buy sugar. Fly through my window, buy sugar. Buy molasses candy. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill, fly through my window. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill, fly through my window. Whippoorwill, whippoorwill, Okay. Woo, that's all colored, and get rid of the select. Change this down. Oops. You know what? I want to do this first before change the size. Let's do this again. And there you have it. Do we just save? I personally save as PNG because it doesn't mess with anything. Thank you all for coming, and